iRacing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Pro Truck Showdown.
Hello everybody, welcome to SimSpeed TV for another round of the Pro Truck Showdown, round 2 of Season 5 here on SimSpeed TV. And we're at Brands Hatch for the second round of what is turning out to be probably the most competitive season of the Pro Truck Showdown yet. Thanks to Scumander Coffee Mug and Hot Toddy's heating installs with the Locked On iRacing podcast supporting this series as well. We're glad to bring you the 3 races tonight. My name is Reese Gardner, and it's Nick Skrayev joining me in the commentary box for this one. Nick, we had a fantastic round of the season to open at Watkins Glen, but now we go to a very different circuit in the form of Brands Hatch in Kent, and this is the broadcaster's choice.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Reese. Thanks for having me. We were having a bit of discussion before. We think maybe this Brands Hatch circuit might space the field out, but definitely going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I reckon we're going to have some pretty tight racing here, and such a stacked field as well. Like I can't get over how this season this series just keeps going from strength to strength.
Yes, indeed. We're in qualifying at the moment, and my goodness, we're looking at a brand new livery here for the Altus Esports boys. Jordan Caruso, who took 2 wins in the opening round of the season at Watkins Glen to take the round win, now has an Altus Esports paint job on that truck, and boy does it look lovely. Qualifying is rapidly drawing to a close. It's only 4 minutes this time around rather than the usual 6 minutes, so the drivers have had to get out there rather quickly and try to get their single qualifying lap in. It looks like Caruso is going to be able to make it to the line, and we're going to have an absolute flood of lap times coming in as he nearly dips a wheel off the curb and grabs the old off-track 1X. Let's see if this is a competitive time here from Jordan Caruso as Brenton Hobson goes to P1, Cooper Webster P2, Glenn Postlethwaite to second. It's a Synergy SimRacing 1-2. Can Jordan Caruso break the duck? No, unfortunately, he gets into 3rd place behind the 2 Synergy drivers of Brenton Hobson and Glenn Postlethwaite. Mitchell McLeod topped practice. Let's see what kind of time he can pull out of this one. Oh my goodness, I don't think... Oh, did he even make it to the line? He didn't. He only just missed out on getting a lap time in. So that means only 16 out of our 25 drivers have actually set times here. Brenton Hobson and Glenn Postlethwaite, Synergy SimRacing front row lockout. It is a second row lockout for Altus Esports. Jordan Caruso and Cooper Webster both running 39.6s. Ben Snell and winner of race 2 in round 1, Jaden Russell, share the third row of the grid starting 5th and 6th. It's Gregory Favell and Kai Turner in 7th and 8th, with Tom Freer and Daniel Stevens rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, just outside the top 10, Justin Howe, as well as Dan Alessi there next to him. Aaron Dillon, Todd Maxfield, Philip Howe, Brian Trezise, Mitch McLeod, as we saw, not making a lap there, and the rest with Hayden Veld, Ryan Jones, Jake Jackson, Damien Westbrook, Brady Baldwin, Zach Blanche, Ricardo Morgananti, and Joshua Walton. It's heaps of massive field there, Reese.
Yes, another really big field here in the Pro Truck Showdown for Season 5. Love seeing these large grid sizes. And we're just waiting now for the grid timer to move down, because right now we have 40 seconds left until we are due to go racing. And Paddock Hill Bend, the first turn here at Brands Hatch International Circuit. It's going to be an interesting run towards turn 1 as they crest the hill and dip down to the Druids hairpin, the prime overtaking spot on the circuit, as our pole sitter Brenton Hobson takes his pole position slot. The revs rise, and we're going to get going for 7 laps this time. Away we go at Brands Hatch, and it looks like a really good start from Jaden Russell. Brenton Hobson moves ahead of Glenn Postlethwaite, but he's going to be pushed out wide by Jordan Caruso, who's trying his best to get himself back into victory lane. Postlethwaite off, and he's come into his teammates Jaden Russell, and Ben Snell sent off the circuit as Snell goes all the way in at Druids and smashes Gregory Favell wide. Someone's turned around in the midfield. That is Tom Freer for Synergy Sim Racing as well, as there's a big pile up at the back. Oh no, that looks like Damien Westbrook up and over, and Aaron Dillon in the wall with Philip Howe spinning around.
Philip Howe will be pretty disappointed with that unfortunately big accident there. Yeah, we did see a Synergy car back there as well, just looking back to the front of the field there of the 2 Synergy cars as well as the 2 Altus cars there. I think that's Hobbo there out the front leading to, I think that might be Jordan Caruso there in second.
Indeed, Jordan Caruso has maintained second, and Glenn Postlethwaite has managed, to hold on to third, but he's getting pressured massively here by Mr. Cooper Webster. He's been forced a bit wide there on the exit of the downhill right-hander, so can Cooper Webster squeeze his way through here? Oh, yeah, take it easy, guys, there at the Dingledell corner, and then into Sterling Moss corner, the second last turn on the circuit. So now it is Altus 2-3. Brenton Hobson still leading the way up the front. You see the 78 there of Justin Howe just recovering from a slight slide as they come to the end of lap 1. We've got 2 extra laps here from our usual race lengths in the Pro Truck Showdown, I think, because the track is a little bit shorter with some definite fast lap times being set around the field as Postlethwaite here trying his best to get back onto the podium, really pressuring Cooper Webster. And these Synergy guys have got paces. Cooper Webster's been hit wide there by Glenn Postlethwaite, and he's going to lose just about 2 positions there. Jaden Russell can't take advantage.
Yeah, Jaden Russell there, absolutely poised to take advantage of that situation there. He's just tucking back in there behind Cooper Webster at the moment.
For the lead.
Looks like a lead change as well.
Indeed, Brenton Hobson had to go wide there to let Cooper Webster go. Jordan Caruso, it seems, has not had a very good time there. And that was actually Jordan Caruso, I think, that Glenn Postlethwaite sent wide. Cooper Webster here trying to get his way around Brenton Hobson, see if the over-under works through the fast right-hander. It ultimately does not, as it's side-by-side between Justin Howe and Daniel Stevens for 9th place in the field at the moment. They've got a big pack of drivers behind them. First and foremost, Ryan Jones, with Dean Alessi, Hayden Veld, and Tom Freer in hot pursuit. And they're going to side-by-side once again into Dingledell. You can use all of the curb through there. Daniel Stevens dipping some wheels off into the grass. It's very narrow here at Brands Hatch. And Justin Howe finding out the hard way.
Yeah, I was going to say there, Ryan Jones absolutely chopping his way through the field. I do remember he was one of the drivers there not making a qualifying lap there. We're just looking a little bit further down, going the long way around there on Daniel Stevens there at the moment. So going to try and use that momentum coming through onto that start-finish straight there.
Indeed they will. Looks like Cooper Webster has taken the lead from Brenton Hobson meanwhile, and Hobson trying his best to hold it round the outside at turn 1. He went off into the gravel trap at Paddock Hill Bend, which is not the best place to be. And it looks like Cooper Webster's just blocking him off there on the exit of the Druids hairpin. And through Graham Hill Bend, 1, 2, 3 is Cooper Webster, Brenton Hobson, and Glenn Postlethwaite. Jordan Caruso is in hot pursuit. Jaden Russell getting dragged along behind him, but we can't count out Ben Snelp, Gregory Favell, or Kai Turner. Meanwhile, the battle for 9th place here. Ryan Jones is now at the front of that pack as Daniel Stevens been sent wide there by Hayden Veld.
Yeah, that's right. So just seeing.
Oh my goodness! Glenn Postlethwaite banging wheels there with one of the Altus guys. I think that was Jordan Caruso there. This is some fantastic racing. We're seeing up at the front as Ben Snell pushing out wide there, Jaden Russell, who's been sent all the way to the back of that pack. He's in 8th now.
Yeah, absolutely banger of a drive there from Ben Snell. We did see he had a bit of an incident there right at the start, but just looking back there at the moment, I think that might be Gregory Favell as we're just catching the front of the field there with Hobson leading Cooper Webster now.
Indeed we are. Brenton Hobson holding on across the line as they come around to start lap 4 of 7. Gregory Favell under some big pressure here from Kai Turner, one of the MFR drivers, Daniel Stevens and Dean Alessi, also members of that team. But through Paddock Hill Bend they go through the dip, and the compression you can see is fantastic on these trucks, getting forced massively into the tarmac as that looked like a bit of a lock-up there from Glenn Postlethwaite, trying to get back up the inside of Cooper Webster for second.
Yeah, Posy with the elbows out there. Might have had a bit of a lock up there through that Druids hairpin, but he's managed to keep it back up there as well. Jordan Caruso sitting in 4th, so he's going to be trying to capitalise on that biffing and barging with his teammate and Posse just up ahead.
Indeed he is. Well, the pack continues and Jordan Caruso trying to take advantage, but he just can't. Glenn Postlethwaite is making his truck incredibly wide, trying to secure a double podium for Synergy Sim Racing. It is very much Synergy versus Altus in the team's fight at the moment. At least it seems so at this point at the start of the season. Brenton Hobson is doing very well to hold off the charge here from Cooper Webster, who is absolutely monstering through these very quick turns in this historic Brands Hatch circuit. Caruso now starting to drop to the back of Postlethwaite, and Glenn has lost a little bit of pace there. He's allowed Cooper Webster and Brenton Hobson to get away, but Jordan Caruso cannot take advantage. The pack behind these guys is really starting to go off as well. Daniel Stevens going defensive versus Hayden Veld, but running a little bit deep into the final corner is Daniel Stevens. He does manage to keep it tight and not allow Hayden Veld by.
Yeah, we've just caught off camera there, but we've just caught it up with it there. Cooper Webster getting that move done there on Brenton Hobson. Hobson having to go the long way around there. Also Postlethwaite at the inside there of Caruso. So bit of a lead change now as well. Cooper having that opportunity there because there was a bit of a gap there to that other Synergy car. So able to take that more aggressive line.
Yep, very aggressive stuff there from Cooper Webster. And let's see how long he holds on to this lead. Got to be careful of the throttle application in these trucks. You can slide them a little bit, but you don't want to slide it too much because you'll lose all of that momentum, as Hobson briefly going defensive there against his teammate. Well, I think Postlethwaite at the moment will be acting as a bit of a cushion here to Jordan Caruso behind, because once Caruso gets through on Postlethwaite, if he can, then Hobson will be a sitting duck. He'll be boxed in by 2 Altus Esports trucks. And Brenton Hobson, of course, the reigning champion of this series. He had a torrid round at Watkins Glen, finished outside the top 10 in 2 of the races. So he's certainly not gotten his season off to the start that he wanted, but he's competing up at the front here at Brands Hatch and saying to Altus, you know what, I can defend this title even against you guys.
Yeah, absolutely there, but Cooper Webster there just coming onto the start-finish straight, only a couple more laps to go there. You're exactly right there. Hobbo wearing that number 1 plate, he won't want to be given up too easily and pulls the exact same move there that Webster pulled on him in and a bit of a bump by Posy from behind. The exact same move on the lap before there.
Oh! Oh, that was Jordan Caruso getting into the back of Glenn Postlethwaite. He tried switching to the outside of the Druids hairpin when they got to the braking zone, but went right into the back of Postlethwaite as a result. Now Ben Snell is in contention here for a podium position. He makes contact with Caruso, and Webster has been shuffled out of the lead. So Brenton Hobson doing very well to get that lead back, and it's a Synergy Sim Racing 1-2 once again. But Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso, with only 2 laps to go, are starting to see their podium dreams shattered here by Ben Snell. Let's see the move up the inside. Caruso has to go wide to let the 1-4-1 go. They make contact. Gregory Favel's going to get in on this as well. This could shuffle Caruso down into 5th place. And indeed it does. Favel, though, hits Snell wide, and that allows Jordan Caruso to get back up the inside. Through the dip they go, onto the brakes for Dingledell, and contact even more between these two. This allowed Cooper Webster to get away in 3rd place, but I think, oh goodness me, bit more contact there versus Ben Snell for Jordan Caruso. That will allow Gregory Favel alongside, as Justin Howe has somehow found his way back to the front of that 9th place back train.
Yeah, that's right. Just seeing him having that bit of a fight out there with Daniel Stevens. Oh, just missing the rear of the car there. I think that might be Hayden Veld there, number 53, trying to capitalise on the on the incidents that's coming through there. And don't also discount Dean Alisi as well. He's sitting in a really good position there to try and get back inside that top 10.
Indeed, we'll have to monitor that, but it is the final lap, and we got to think about these guys up at the front. Brenton Hobson and Glenn Postlethwaite 1-2, as up the inside of the Graham Hill bend goes Gregory Favel on Jaden Russell, who's trying his best to recover back to a good position after a really good lap 1. Unfortunately, forced wide in a couple of laps in. And it looks like the top 3 have well and truly broken away from the rest of the field now. There's Webster in 3rd, with Ben Snell now holding on to 4th place. He's got a few truck lengths between himself and Jordan Caruso, as there's a bit of a look there from Jaden Russell. Can he get through into that 5th place is the big question. They got Kai Turner still looming in the background as well. You just see him come into shot ever so briefly right there. Kai Turner, the MFR driver, the top one in the race so far. Only 2 turns to go now for our race leaders, Brenton Hobson and Glenn Postlethwaite. They got a lap traffic of Joshua Walton just up ahead, but they won't catch him before they get to the start-finish line. So, for Synergy Sim Racing, a very dramatic first race here at Brands Hatch in the Pro Truck Showdown, but ultimately they hold on to their qualifying positions. Hobson will take the win, with Glenn Postlethwaite in 2nd. Cooper Webster makes his way up from 4th to 3rd. Ryan Jones continuing to try and pressure Justin Howe for 9th across the line, but it doesn't look like he's going to get it done. He draws alongside, but that is the gap. Very small indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of biffing and barging there at the back. On the straight section too, that might have been a bit uncalled for there, Philip Howe. So not having the run that he probably exactly want there. You can see so much damage there on his truck as well. So maybe a few incidents there, as well as Westbrook.
Yeah, well, both of them did come together on lap 1. It was a very dramatic start there at the back of the field, but we'll quickly go through the race results here for race 1 at Brands Hatch in round 2. We got to remember that the top 7 will be inverted. So Brenton Hobson is going to start from 7th in race 2. Glenn Postlethwaite from 6th. Cooper Webster 5th. Ben Snell will remain in 4th. In 3rd, Jordan Caruso. Gregory Favel will start 2nd, and Jaden Russell will be your pole man for the 2nd race of the night, 9 laps. Kai Turner, Justin Howe, and Ryan Jones ultimately round out the top 10.
Yeah, Ryan Jones just up 9 positions there into that place there ahead of Daniel Stevens, Hayden Veld, Dean Alessi and Tom Freer, Mitch McLeod and Todd Maxfield, Jake Jackson, Zach Blanche, Philip Howe and Damian Westbrook there rounding out the top 20.
Mitch McLeod was mired in the midfield after missing out on setting a qualifying time. Ricardo Morganti and Brian Trezise, and that is indeed how his name is pronounced. He told us this afternoon. We've been getting it wrong for so long. We're very sorry, Brian. But ultimately finishing in 22nd, with Joshua Walton coming home one lap down. Aaron Dillon and Brady Baldwin, your retirees from this race. So now we get to the starting grid for race 2. It is Russell and Favell on the front row, with Caruso, Snell, Webster and Postlethwaite rounding out the top 6, with Brenton Hobson starting from 7th. And from then on, it is the same positions as they finished in race 1 that they then start from for race 2. Now for Jaden Russell, he'll want to try and take advantage of this one, but Gregory Favell is a very competitive racer, and we can't count out Jordan Caruso. He's still starting up near the front as the revs rise, and we are go for race 2 of the Pro Truck Showdown, and it is a good start from Jordan Caruso, but an even better one from Jaden Russell. He is unthreatened coming into turn 1, and Cooper Webster shuffling his way past Gregory Favell on the run down to the Druids hairpin as well. Ben Snell's going to get himself in here too, as there's big biffing and barging throughout the whole field, making their way through. Glenn Postlethwaite's gotten a bit of contact from Kai Turner, who's been ricocheted into Ryan Jones. Daniel Stevens and Hayden Veld making side-by-side contact, and they've both gone a little bit of cropper, but it seems that everyone has made it through the first couple of turns this time around. But Gregory Favell's been sent massively wide in the turn coming onto the Grand Prix section, and Brenton Hobson now threatening Gregory Favell here.
Yeah, seeing so many cars lean on each other. I think I saw Ryan Jones lean on, I think that was Kai Turner there for a few corners, but everyone getting through reasonably cleanly there. But yeah, you're exactly right. Jordan Caruso there, back up at the front where he needs to be. Cooper Webster in there second, about 0.5 of a second there to Jaden Russell. So the buffer that they need there, they want to be outside of that striking distance.
Yeah, Cooper Webster got past Jaden Russell with a big old shove as Mitchell McLeod goes up the inside of Hayden Veld and then around the outside into Sterling's Bend. He's gradually making his way up the field. His next target is Kai Turner, who's gotten a pretty poor exit. So we're going to see Mitch making moves here in race 2 to try and get himself back up the front of the field after not having the best of races in race 1. Turner, though, getting on the throttle very nicely out of the final turn, and Hayden Veld might give McLeod a bit of a push here into turn 1. Mitch just dives on in, and then Veld takes advantage of the door left open by McLeod going through to get up the inside there of Kai Turner into turn 2. Druids Bend as it's still going on just up ahead. Ryan Jones, Justin Howe, and Glenn Postlethwaite as Philip Howe, Justin Howe's dad, out in the sticks there at turn 1. It's a fantastic battle, though, for the final positions in the top 10. Justin Howe in 9th place there, with Mitch McLeod now up into 10th, and we'll see how long he takes to catch up to these guys with how closely they're all battling.
That's exactly right. You can see almost a bump drafting there from Jordan Caruso to his teammate of Cooper Webster. So it's a reasonably tight track there. There's not too many long of a straight, so the draft doesn't really come into effect too much in this particular track there. Just looking at Brenton Hobson there at the moment there. Gregory Favell just on his tail there at the moment, fighting off the other synergy car there of Glenn Postlethwaite.
Yeah, indeed. Glenn Postlethwaite has not had the best of times in this race so far. He's struggled to really break free of the likes of Gregory Favell, but here we go. It looks like Zach Blanche and Todd Maxfield battling there towards the rear of the field. It was a move between them, but it is an Altus 1-2 across the line to start lap 3. We've got Ryan Jones and Justin Howe still locked together into turn 1 as Howe goes up the inside of Jones, just bounces off the curb and gives Jones enough room to use the runoff there on the outside of the curb. You can use all of that painted green tarmac. Ryan's doing a very good job here of holding on, but ultimately that is a straight line exit for Justin Howe and move completed. For how long is the big question? Meanwhile, Gregory Favell now falling under pressure there from Glenn Postlethwaite just up ahead of them as Ryan Jones gets a little bit of a slide on.
Yeah, just seeing those gaps form up there. Just seeing Caruso there lose about 5 tenths of a second there from Cooper Webster. So potentially maybe a very slight mistake there. That's put him back into the hands there of Jaden Russell. So second position is now going to be under a bit of an attack here.
Yeah, indeed it is. So Jaden Russell now will probably get a bit of a leg up here with Ben Snell right behind him, and reigning champion Brenton Hobson, Jaden Russell's teammate, right there as well. Glenn Postlethwaite is now past Gregory Favell and doing a pretty good job of keeping him behind. So now it might be a three-pronged synergy assault here on Ben Snell's current 4th place. We'll see how well that goes. But it's a bit of a long race here, 9 laps. Brenton Hobson now tries around the outside of Ben Snell. A little bit of contact there in the braking zone for the final corner, but Ben Snell holds on to it. Ben, of course, one of the veteran competitors in this series, as is Brenton Hobson, so they know how to race around each other. And here's hoping that the battling stays clean, because this has been some really good racing we've seen so far tonight. The Altus 1-2, though, staying stable up the front as Hobson tries getting up the inside of Snell, who locks up in Druids, and that allows Brenton Hobson to get alongside on the exit, but Snell with the inside for Graham Hill Bend and almost forces Hobson off the track. Hobson gets a bit of a touch from behind by his teammate Glenn Postlethwaite.
Yeah, and this is absolutely just shuffling him back down a little bit, giving Jaden Russell just a little bit extra buffer there, and as you can see, Glenn Postlethwaite absolutely opportunistic there, making the most of that situation.
Indeed he did. So, Gregory Favell now with the view, back on the 2 Synergy cars. Synergy trucks, I should probably say. But the field's starting to space out a bit as we see Mitchell McLeod continuing to advance here on the top 10. Ryan Jones, he's lost touch with Justin Howe now that the move has been made, and Daniel Stevens passing his teammate Dean Alessi there, and that is for 13th position. Daniel Stevens, one of the other competitors in this series who's been around the block a few times. He knows his way around these fields, and he would very much like to make another couple of visits to the top 10. But single file for everyone at the end of the 4th lap.
Yeah, to almost make any notable position here in this field, you'd have to be absolutely pumped with it when you consider the talent that we've got here in this season of the Truck Showdown. Just seeing him come down through Paddock Hill Bend at the moment, so you're exactly right. Everyone's just sitting a little bit more. So, sorry to see him Postlethwaite up the inside of Ben Snell, almost exactly what we saw previous lap there. Snell getting very sideways out. That's also going to allow Brenton Hobson through as well. So and now a 3-way attack from Synergy onto the back there of Altus.
Indeed it is. And I'm saying indeed it is, and indeed they are a lot tonight. I will stop now. I'll try to find some different things to say. But they're starting to come up on a little bit of lap traffic up the front. The Altus guys are going to have to start watching out, because Riccardo Morganti, going around there in 24th position in truck number 29, is very closely approaching as the field make their way around. Riccardo, another series veteran here, and he knows very well how to do things. He just stays out of the way, goes off the circuit to let our top drivers go through, and nearly getting a bit of contact there with Justin Howe, but Riccardo doing a good job there of staying out of everybody's way and letting them continue their race. I've got to give a shout out to Riccardo. He does try his best, and he does keep himself right there in the field at all times, and he's just there to have fun, I reckon, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, some absolute sheep stations at the front there, as you can tell, but just seeing a few of these guys a little bit further down there, just on the back there at the moment. So all stretching in there at the moment. All the way goes down to Justin Howe there in 8th position. So everyone be pretty mindful there. You can make one slight mistake and you could see yourself almost outside of the top 10.
Yeah, you got to be very careful here up at the front of the field. as Brian Trezise gets himself passed by Jake Jackson, but Trezise is going to get himself back up the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, takes a bit too much of the curb on the inside and loses some momentum that way. So the number 21 of Jake Jackson gets back by. The Altus 1-2 is not under threat at all. The Synergy 4-5, on the other hand, is, as Ben Snell gives Brenton Hobson a tap through the right-hander. And he's going to make his way up the inside as the track widens just a little bit into these two right-hand kinks. Brenton, though, is holding on incredibly well to this position. He wants to try and keep this as best he can and keep himself there with the fight with his teammates. He's going to, go off the circuit and lose some momentum here. Gregory Favell now is going to have a look in, but Ben Snell sweeping around to take that 5th place back. And wow, Ben Snell, some very brave driving from both he and Brenton Hobson on that occasion.
Yeah, you can absolutely see these trucks aren't too slow on the dirt, that they don't lose too much speed, but you can see when the field's so bunched together so tightly there. I think Hobbo might have been on the grass for only not even a second or a couple of seconds there and automatically loses a position or position and a half. So really trying to keep the nose clean there and trying to make too many mistakes there as he's down the inside of Ben Snell again. A little bit sideways there. That's going to lose a bit of momentum. That's going to pull Gregory Favell back onto that group as well.
Yeah, and it's going to allow Glenn Postlethwaite and Jaden Russell to skip away as they continue their pursuit of the Altus guys. Hayden Veld getting very involved here with Dean Alessi, and Veld right off the circuit at Graham Hill Bend. That's no good there for Hayden Veld. But we draw our attention back towards the Gregory Favell battle here as Justin Howe is now making his way forward even more. Mitchell McLeod, meanwhile, has passed Ryan Jones and up into 9th place. Favell now coming under massive threat from the drivers who were battling amongst themselves earlier on.
Yeah, it's bunching this into a big group now, as we can see, and that's almost given Hobson a bit of a free kick now, so he's going to be outside that strike distance there of Favell, so it'll be very defensive driving that we'll see from Favell to Justin Howe behind.
And yes, it shall be. I mean, this Altus 1-2 under no threat at all, but back further in the field, it is all on indeed in race 2. Mitchell McLeod trying his best here to keep himself with a look in towards a better position within the top 10 as he's line astern with Justin Howe and Ryan Jones, and Howie has run a little bit wide in Paddock Hill there. It's going to allow Mitch up the inside. How brave is Mitch going to be on the brakes? He gets squeezed to the inside, locks the rears, gets sideways. Ryan Jones gets into his rear quarter. They're briefly 3 wide on the exit of the hairpin, but they sort themselves out and they remain in the same positions that they are now. It looks like it's going to be the last lap because this race has gone time certain, 13 minutes. So it's only going to be 8 laps in length. So the drivers will have 1 lap less than they probably thought they would to get things done. It's going to be on for 3rd pretty shortly here because Jaden Russell and Glenn Postlethwaite are fending off Ben Snell still. But McLeod round the outside of Justin Howe, getting out onto the grass. Howe and Jones bump drafting to both get past Mitchell McLeod. And Mitch shuffled back into 10th place. This battle is going to go on to the line. McLeod getting up the inside of Ryan Jones. Can Jones hold on through Dingledell? McLeod just makes a slight bit of side-by-side contact, but they both stay on the circuit, both giving room to each other, which is good to see. Up the front, though, it is Altus 1 and 2 as Glenn Postlethwaite around the outside of Jaden Russell. Try and take 3rd place here. First and second, though, is going to be Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso. Fantastic drive from the Altus boys, taking their first proper 1-2 finish here at Brands Hatch, and ultimately Glenn Postlethwaite getting onto the podium for Synergy Sim Racing. Jaden Russell holding off Ben Snell for 4th.
Yeah, what an absolute blinder of a race that was. My breath was held a bit. I didn't know how that 3rd place was going to pan out there, so great work there by posse to get that. So we see Brian Trezise and
Jake Jackson.
Jake Jackson there, just through the
Trezise got back by him. So anyway, those are the results there, with Cooper Webster taking victory by less than a tenth from Jordan Caruso. A bit of a formation finish there for Altus Esports. Glenn Postlethwaite, Jaden Russell, and Ben Snell round out your top 5, with Brenton Hobson keeping the meme alive and finishing in position 6. Gregory Favell will take 7th. Justin Howe, Mitchell McLeod, and Ryan Jones round out the top 10.
Yeah, outside the top 10, Daniel Stevens, Kai Turner, Damian Westbrook there in 13th, Tom Frere in 14th, Hayden Veld, as we saw, had a few incidents there, finishing 15th, Dan Alessi, Zach Blanche, Todd Maxfield, Brian Trezise, and Jake Jackson, as we saw across the line there in 20th.
Indeed, in 21st, Philip Howe, the last car to finish on the lead lap, with Ricardo Morganti finishing a lap down. Aaron Dillon and Joshua Walton retiring from this one, with Brady Baldwin not taking to the start. So now it's time for a very brief break here on SimSpeed TV. Pro Truck Showdown Season 5 is absolutely going off, and I am loving it, every second of it. Scumander Coffee Mug and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs supporting this series, as they always have. Thank you so much for your support. We'll be back on SimSpeed TV in just a moment, as the drivers are in their warm-up session.
Pro Truck Showdown.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world, like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown Season 5. We're currently in the 5-minute warm-up session between our second and third races, and we're expecting that this third race is going to be 9 laps in length. It is 14 minutes, officially set for an 11-lap distance, but a 14-minute race time, so we're expecting they should only be able to fit 9 laps in there. So, I mean, what more could be said about this night that hasn't already been said? It's really incredible. Nick Skraev alongside me in the commentary box. I'm Reese Gardner. Nick, this has been, as you said before we went on the break, an absolute blinder of a night.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, I think the sponsor goals are absolutely perfect, because it is so much heat going on track at the moment. It's kind of anywhere you look at the moment. The race for 10th place is as tightly fought as the race for first, so it's everyone's living it all out on the circuit there at the moment here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, they are indeed. And that top 7 invert certainly made things exciting in the second race as well. Our race 1 winner, Brenton Hobson, could only make up 1 position along the way. He did get shuffled out of position a few times, so just seeing the starting positions and the results doesn't tell the full story, but it's not the kind of advancement that our reigning champion would be expecting. And right now, the ball is in Altus's court because Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso, well, they have just taken a 1-2 in race 2, and they've finished 3rd and 5th in race 1 as well. So they're still getting those great points, and Brenton Hobson isn't quite getting the look in terms of getting points that he probably should.
Yeah, you can imagine just how frustrating it is seeing those two Altus cars up the road there when everything was getting so tightly fought, especially with Ben and Posy there alongside him. So just trying to get near the front is just so tricky in this pack.
Yeah, indeed it is. But we have to turn our attention to the final race of the night, where that pack is certainly going to be tight. It's Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso on the front row for Altus Esports, with Glenn Postlethwaite and Jaden Russell for Synergy Sim Racing on row 2. Ben Snell and reigning champ Brenton Hobson on row 3. Starting from 7th place is going to be Gregory Favell alongside Justin Howe, and it's going to be Mitchell McLeod and Ryan Jones rounding out the top 10. Now the revs will rise and we'll get going for another 9 laps here at Brands Hatch. Pro Truck Showdown Season 5 Round 2 will be decided here and now, as it's a pretty good start from both Altus drivers up at the front of the field. Glenn Postlethwaite's going to get up the inside of Jaden Russell as Brenton Hobson sweeps around the outside of Ben Snell. Snell's stuck on the outside of turn 1. He's allowed Justin Howe through into the top 6. This is fantastic stuff on the opening lap for these guys, particularly Justin Howe, as there's a truck up and over, and that looks like Todd Maxfield.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Todd Maxfield. So he's just trying to turn, and he's turned it around, trying to get back onto 4 wheels. He might be able to make it there through the end, but so much biffing and barging here through the top, and we've just seen Jaden Russell, I think, go off.
Yeah, it was from contact with another truck, and oh my goodness, that's not going to be something that he'd be looking forward to debriefing on. He tried getting up the inside of Justin Howe coming through turn 4, but Howe just made contact with him on the outside, and that sent Russell all the way around. That created a bit of a shuffle behind, but it looks like most other drivers managed to get away with that.
Yeah, we're just going back to live pictures there now, but it is Webster, it is Caruso, 1-2 again there with Posy about 5/10 back at the moment there, so it is pretty early days yet. This is 11 laps, so it is even a little bit longer than the previous 2 races, so a bit more of a kind of like an endurance or a longer sprint race outlook at the moment. So it's all about just chipping away there. As we're just looking back in the field there, Mitch McLeod under a really heavy fire there. I think might have been Tommy Westbrook there.
Yeah, Damien Westbrook there. Yeah, that's all good. It's created a bit of a crush here just behind. Stevens gets up the inside of McLeod. These 4 drivers together, Tom Freer and Hayden Beld along with them. And it looks like Kai Turner is going to make this a 5-car scrap here as McLeod gets back up the inside of Daniel Stevens. And that's going to allow Tom Freer a hint at a run, but not going to be able to take advantage coming into Graham Hill Bend. Fantastic racing here for just outside the top 10. Mitchell McLeod currently in 10th place on track at the moment. Tom Freer has had a night in the midfield so far as, oh no, Hayden Veld's gone right off the circuit there, running very wide, and that's going to allow a run from Dean Alessi around the outside. Coming into the fast right-hander up here at the top of the hill. Or is it? Looks like Veld covering him off very nicely there. But have a look at this. Brenton Hobson and Glenn Postlethwaite, they're starting to catch up to the Altus duo up front of Cooper Webster and Jordan Caruso. Can't wait to see how that one works out, as Ryan Jones and Damien Westbrook are together on track, which will certainly mean fireworks.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As we've just seen Westbrook there showing a nose there on Ryan Jones, having to yield him behind there, and who's that limbing the background? Mitch McLeod there in 10th position, so he's going to be closing in on these two as they battle it out there. Westbrook up the inside there of Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones will have to try and go through paddock the long way around. As we've got Mitch McLeod, it's going to make almost 3 wide here through the first corner.
Yeah, almost, but not quite. Ryan Jones, though, still stuck on the outside, and Damien Westbrook holding on to that position just up ahead of them. Westbrook now up into 8th place, but it could be 9th now because Mitchell McLeod just forcing his way up the inside there. And Daniel Stevens hits Westbrook as well as Ryan Jones gets a bit of contact on there. Tom Freer got into the back of him and almost turned him around, so that's more positions lost there for Ryan Jones, who will not be happy. Daniel Stevens and Damien Westbrook just ahead of these guys were coming together too. We'll get a virtual racing school replay of all of that. My goodness, great slow motion stuff here. Stevens getting into Westbrook and then Freer getting into Jones.
Yeah, as we were almost just talking about him in the previous lap there with Tom Freer. It's once you're in that mid pack, it's really hard there to kind of break free because there's just so much battling going on. And yeah, exactly right. Very unfortunate there for Ryan Jones, working up the whole way from the back of the field there up into that 9th position. So unfortunately, he's back down into 14th place.
Some great pace being shown by Synergy's Glenn Postlethwaite and Brenton Hobson as the battle between Westbrook and Stevens continues. It looks like Westbrook got his momentum really killed there, and there we go. That is contact. That is Kai Turner turning Mr. Westbrook. That has allowed Hayden Veld to get back through on all of that. Ryan Jones, Zach Blanche, and Dean Alessi too, as Justin Howe trying up the inside there of turn 1, getting past Ben Snell. Ryan Jones now up the inside here of Zach Blanche, the number 2. Who had some interesting races at Watkins Glen. Looks to me like Blanche is not going to be able to get through here at Paddock Hill because Jones just covering him off nicely, but he goes a bit too deep into the Druids hairpin and allows Blanche up the inside, and Blanche goes, well, hey, the whole circuit is mine now. I'm just going to force Ryan Jones off. So par for the course here in the Pro Truck Showdown is Justin Howe, our series administrator, battling hard with Ben Snell. Snell manages to get ahead, and Gregory Favell will look to take advantage.
Yeah, Gregory Favell there just sitting pretty there in 7th position. And yeah, as we saw before, Ryan Jones, I think had to take some evasive action there not to go into the back there of Dan Alessi. So very responsible driving there at the moment. Anything can happen at this stage. We've still got a fair few more laps to go. There's about just under 8 minutes to go. Just seeing, I think that might have been Jack or something from in the back with a big slide. So lots happening at the moment.
Indeed. Mr. Jackson getting some slides on as the 1-2 for Altus Esports is starting to come under threat here from Synergy Sim Racing. Postlethwaite and Hobson continuing their pursuit. We see Daniel Stevens there just on his own at the moment. He's broken away from this pack behind us. Once again between Ryan Jones and Zach Blanche. It is on as Justin Howe sent it up the inside of Ben Snell at turn 1 just ahead of these guys, and Snell's almost been sent wide as, my goodness, the racing is close there between Jones and Blanche on the exit of turn 1. And Hobson now getting alongside Jordan Caruso for 2nd place. And Jordan defends into Graham Hill Bend. This allows Cooper Webster to skip away, but Brenton Hobson is going to start to try and ruin the Altus party.
Yeah, that's right. It was almost the Synergy were planning their move there on the Altus cars, putting in a very big attack there through Druids. Unfortunately, that didn't work out too well for Glenn Postlethwaite, which has pushed him back down into 4th, but that has given Hobbo the advantage there, and he's right on the back there of Jordan Caruso. So I think Caruso's going to have to defend pretty hard there now.
Indeed. He's going to have to defend incredibly hard because this Synergy duo is really turning up the wick here in the final race of the night. I can't wait to see whether or not they'll be able to get 2 trucks onto the podium again, because it looks like Altus Esports have this locked down at the moment in terms of the Pro Truck Showdown. Cooper Webster is going to hold on to this lead, but Jordan Caruso, looking back at Hobson and Postlethwaite, you see that there are basically no trucks behind them. The top 4 are broken away from the rest of the field by a massive margin. There is 5th place in the form of Ben Snell. He's got Justin Howe, Gregory Favell, and Mitchell McLeod in his tow as Zach Blanche and has been dropped there. Ryan Jones now trying to find a way past Hayden Veld here at turn 1. Can he make it up the inside? It's easy to put a move up the inside at Paddock Hill, but very difficult to hold on to it because the track falls away, and Veld finding out the hard way there as he and Jones get a little bit close for comfort as Ben Snell, well, hang on a minute, he's been passed there by Gregory Favell.
Yeah, Gregory Favell putting in a few attacks there at the moment, so he's going to have, I think that's Justin Howe there just up ahead of him, so a bit of a sandwich there at the moment. And this fighting too will pull Mitch McLeod. So Mitch McLeod was about 3/10 behind as we're just on board with him now. So he's potentially now in 8th position, could potentially get a few more spots here.
Yeah, if these three come together just ahead of him, Mitchell will certainly look to take advantage. McLeod's had a tumultuous few weeks. He ended up getting a ban from iRacing, and it was to be a permanent ban, but ultimately that got reversed after some outcry, so good to see him back and competing here in the Pro Truck Showdown, certainly turning it up in terms of results once again. But for the lead, Cooper Webster not under threat as well, getting up the inside there. Justin Howe on Ben Snell and Gregory Favell. Snell's going to try around the outside of Favell and Howe at the final turn, but Favell goes a bit deep into the final turn. They make contact. And let's see if he can fire one up the inside of turn 1. Mitchell McLeod doesn't have any space here to try and get alongside, or does he? He's going to have a run here around the outside of Favell, who gets into the back of Snell. They just managed to pull it up as, wow, McLeod going all the way to the inside of the circuit, actually cutting the first turn to try and get an advantage on these guys. Ben Snell all the way to the inside, but he locks up the rears and gets sideways. Mitchell McLeod has nowhere to go and gets into him. And Justin Howell thinks, well, see you, mates, I'm off.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a pretty questionable techniques there with Ben Snell went so wide in the Druids there and almost locking all four wheels up there, trying to pull that truck up there because it's such a steep downhill section into that really tight hairpin, and that's absolutely handed it to Justin Howe now. Just getting a bit of a gap now to the rest of the field there, so potentially his 5th position might be safe from these three tailing in behind.
We've completely missed it, but Brenton Hobson has gotten into 2nd. He's passed Jordan Caruso, and going back, it looks like he did it at turn 2 with a move up the inside. So now it is Altus Synergy, your top 4. And Glenn Postlethwaite will look to try and take advantage, hope that Jordan Caruso's been shaken a little bit by Brenton Hobson's move. Cooper Webster is not having to worry about any of this. He's got enough of a lead that he can probably keep this race lead if he maintains this pace as it is in the last 2 minutes of the race. But Brenton Hobson has got a whole other kind of battle on his hands here. He wants to try and keep Mr. Caruso behind, and Jordan will want that 2nd place back and have the honour of an Altus 1-2 again, the 2nd of the night potentially.
Yeah, that's right. We really are racing for sheep stations here. A lot of points in the championship as well. Oh, I see Caruso there just landing on the back there of Hobbo. So just pulling in behind there as they're coming through the back way of the circuit. But just catching off camera, these four again fighting so hard there at the moment. So that's that is Snell there up the inside of Justin Howe. So Justin Howe now going to be stuck there, having to go around the outside. He's going to have to yield through there. Mitch McLeod. Oh!
Howe sent straight off the circuit, and McLeod's going to take advantage. Ben Snell's going to redress this one versus Justin Howe. Or is he? Not going to quite let him go here. But at the very least, he's brought them back together. And Daniel Stevens is going to try and take advantage of this. Forces Justin Howe wide again, just backs out of it to avoid making contact with the series administrator. But man, that 3rd or 4th turn here at Brands Hatch is certainly a place where if you're on the outside, you've really got to be careful, because the driver up the inside is just going to go towards the outside of the corner and potentially force you off, at least in these trucks anyway. Looks like Cooper Webster's advantage is diminishing, so I'm going to backtrack on what I said earlier. Webster is certainly under threat as we are now on the final lap. It's going to be 33 seconds to go here as they cross the line to begin the final and ninth lap of the race. Can Brenton Hobson take 2 wins here tonight, or can Cooper Webster get his second win of the round as well? Certainly on between them, but it looks like Cooper Webster at this stage is probably going to look for round honours here with Brenton Hobson's 6th place, meaning he's not going to get as many points. Let's see if there are any passing opportunities further on around this lap. Jordan Caruso has started to lose a bit of touch here with Brenton Hobson, who's right on Cooper Webster's bumper as they make their way onto the back straight. Down through the forest here in Kent in the United Kingdom. Only a truck length or so. Cooper Webster starts to get the weave on down the back straight. Brenton Hobson is not close enough to get a move. And Webster firing it in. Hobson firing it in just a little bit harder. I'm loving this racing, and Hobson is starting to sense a maneuver here. Might he be able to get one done at the penultimate turn or the final turn? It's all on here at Brands Hatch as Hobson gets on the brakes very aggressively, almost gets into the back of Cooper Webster. Webster, though, steadfast, holding on, coming into Sterling's as Caruso gets into the back of Hobson and sends him off the circuit. Hobson manages to recover, but he loses second place, and the Altus Esports 1-2 is back on into the final turn, and Hobson gives the return serve to Jordan Caruso, who gets in front of Cooper Webster. It's still an Altus Esports 1-2, but this time it's going to be Jordan Caruso who takes honours, and Hobson is going to lose out to Postlethwaite across the line.
Oh, what an absolute finish that was there. Yeah, Hobbo kind of almost started the chain reaction there, had a really big contact. We're just seeing some contact between, I think that might be Daniel Stevens there and Ryan Jones. But yeah, Hobbo really hard there in the back of Caruso, which started off a bit of a chain reaction, and it's actually pushed him all the way down into 4th place. So he'll be absolutely gutted with that.
Yeah, no doubt he will be. So Cooper Webster takes his 2nd race win of the night and secures the overall round victory as a result. Jordan Caruso comes home for his second place of the night, and it's an Altus Esports 1-2 in 2 of our races tonight. Glenn Postlethwaite and Brenton Hobson, well, they took the 1-2 honours earlier on in the night, but they're going to have to settle for 3rd and 4th this time around. Mitchell McLeod making his way up into the top 5 at the end. Very good stuff from him. Just a 10th ahead of Gregory Favell. Ben Snell comes home 7th, with Justin Howe coming home in 8th. And it's Daniel Stevens and Ryan Jones who round out the top 10.
Yeah, just outside the top 10, Hayden Veld making it back after a few incidents, as we saw before there. Dan Alessi, Kai Turner, Jaden Russell having a absolutely shocker there of a feature race. Unfortunately, losing a lot of time there with Tom Freer, Zach Blanche, Brian Trezise, Jake Jackson, Damian Westbrook, and Philip Howe there rounding out the top 20.
And our last finisher was Ricardo Morganti. Todd Maxfield and Aaron Dillon ultimately didn't take to the start. Either that or they retired on lap 1. It might have been very difficult there in the back of the field. Josh Walton and Brady Baldwin did not take the start at all. So, bit of a shame to see there for those guys up at the back of the field. But, my goodness, what a round of racing that was. It is Altus Esports taking the honours once again here in round 2 of the Pro Truck Showdown at Brands Hatch. Watkins Glen belonged to Altus, and it looks like Synergy Sim Racing are starting to get back on their tail, but they will have to maintain their form throughout the night if they want any chance of trying to beat the Altus juggernaut. Reigning champion Brenton Hobson, he's going to have a difficult start to the season here. What's going to happen in round 3? Well, you'll be able to find out next Tuesday night here on SimSpeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner. It was Nick Skrayev alongside me in the commentary box. Big thanks once again to Scumander Coffee Mug and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs for your support of this series, and to Jay Kennedy, our director, for operating the cameras, making everything happen behind the scenes, and streaming this whole thing in the first place. We'll see you next round, next Tuesday.